Shalom Aleichem. Let us learn a mimer together. A mimer of Heichaltzu. I'm giving you the shir as by me. Tisha B'Av just finished. Don't be fooled by the background. And it's great to be able to walk out of Tisha B'Av and talk about Avos Yisrael. Last week we spoke about how whether a person serves Hashem from a place of simcha or a place of humility, nevertheless, it can lead them to put down somebody else because it's still an avodah, it's a service of Hashem that comes from yeshes, from a place of taking space. And that jealousy, oh, that person's a threat to me, can destroy me. Now he's going to say that jealousy is not so bad if directed correctly. Very interesting. V'hagam. And even though sheyesh maila be'inyin haduchnis, be'inyin hakina beduchnis, even though when envy is focused on spiritual matters, it can lead to a virtue. How do I know? Like the Talmid, the Chacham say, it says, that envy amongst scribes, but seiftim also means Talmid Chachamim, adds knowledge. So you see that jealousy in a certain context is an attribute that's good. And the Medrash brings the Medrash on the pasuk that says Rachel was jealous in her sister, and seemingly, the simple reading of the text, she was jealous that her sister had children, and she didn't. But what does the Medrash Rabbah say? She envied her for her good deeds, and that was a mila, not a chisaron. It was something positive. It was an attribute, not a weakness. And another pasuk says, Mishlei, do not be envious of sinners, but rather be envious of Yerushalayim, people who have Yerushalayim. So what's the thing? That you should have kinna. So why am I bashing kinna, jealousy as the foundation of hatred, etc., the way that Rabbi Rashab did so passionately in the previous ois? He says, because zehu, what are the positive attributes? That is only when the jealousy, the envy is coming because I desire good deeds. I desire wisdom. Similar. Therefore, because the individual has an aspiration, aspires to have midas tovas, healthy seichel. So therefore, so therefore the person envies someone who happens to possess those good deeds, those character traits, or that chachma. But it causes a positive outcome. I see those attributes as something I want to attain. I see them in you. So now it has the pull on me. It affects me that I should push myself, exert myself to achieve that as well. Until the individual reaches this level. I'm vacillating in general from all the shiurim in the Maimer. I'm going back and forth from third person to first person because it's very hard to say he when you know it's talking about you. So when I'm saying me, I'm not saying me as in like me, but yeah, the Maimer is talking to me as much as anyone else. It reminds me of a good story. I heard this in the name of the Mendel. It's not one of the famous stories. That one time, the Mendel says, he was learning a mimer, and he thought to himself, wow, what a mimer. I have to bring this up to this bacher because this bacher has a certain weakness in character. So I'll fabring with this bacher, I'll learn the mimer with this bacher, and I'll get it by himself. Sits around with the bacher, starts giving it to him the shir. Gornisht. Guys, he listens, geschmack and mimer, doesn't get it. So Mendel says, you know what, let's learn it again. Say that. You start learning it again. In the middle of the second time, suddenly the bacher has an epiphany. He says, that Mendel! Boss, I have a chaver that this maimer is mamish made for. So Mendel says, at that moment, I realized the maimer was talking to me because I thought it was talking to him. And he thinks it's talking about somebody else. But Kid said, let's all stop putting it on another person and put it on ourselves. So that's that. The maimer is talking to me. Why is the jealousy in this scenario, the jealousy of Rachel, etc., good? Because the kina is coming from the depth of the soul. It hits you. It's gated on. It's coming to you. It's getting at you from the depths of your soul. And because it's coming from a deep, intrinsic, essential part of my neshama, so therefore it exposes various koiches, various potentials, and various energies that not necessarily have I ever utilized and activated. Now they are. So I basically look at the person, I sit there saying, gosh, if only I had such a avas chesed like that person. Or if I was able to forgive somebody else's success the way that person. I'm not jealous of them, I'm jealous of the attribute. And it hits me because I know that I can't be happy for somebody else's simcha. So it took me very, why did he win the lottery, not me? Why does he have nachas from his kids, etc., etc.? It says, but if it comes from a pneumistic place in the nefesh, that you want that attribute, then it will activate koiches within you until you achieve that level. Like it said elsewhere, and it refers to ranat. What does it say over there in the Maimer? Over there, it's be'inyan hakoyach da or chayzer. It's concerning the strength of or chayzer. There's two different kinds of lights that Chassidus explains. In this context, there's a million kinds of light, but there's or chayzer and or yasher. Or yasher is direct. Sun shines and it comes directly to you. Or chayzer, it bounces back through somewhere else. It's not coming directly. The Baal Tshuva is or chayzer, tzaddiks or yasher, etc., etc. Sometimes the Or Chayzer is the type of light that brings a person's hidden powers into revelation, with a much greater degree and benefit than the light that comes from direct light from Or Yasher. As what does Chassidus say? Chassidus explains, as Or Yasher reveals light according to the ordinary pattern of revelation, the way it usually works. As such, the light descends and contracts itself as it extends outward, adapting itself to the existing structures of the realm with which it shines. Our chayzer, by contrast, does not shine forth by nature. Instead, effort is necessary to evoke it. When it is called forth, it reflects energies that lie within the core of the source of light and therefore not bounded by the ordinary patterns of revelation. In other words, I have to dig deep to uncover that light, but when I uncover it, I'm uncovering, like he says, etzam hanefesh, absolute power, absolute potency. And that's why about Tshuva, Makom Shabali Tshuva End, something because they're activating something so deep in order to have to overcome all the darkness they've been living with till now. They're activating something so deep that just consumes them, the fire. It's like passion, absolute fire. And so too is the kina that comes in Kedusha, that is coming from a good place. But all this applies only when I desire the good traits of the fellow and I have a positive motivation. Interesting introduction he gives of it. The Rebbe Rashab proceeds to speak about a person who lives in a setting where avodah, the service of God, is valued and therefore fancies himself as one who seeks to advance the realm. He's in a good yeshiva. And in this yeshiva, they Baruch Hashem, they still have their values on straight. They don't sit there putting on a pedestal the person who has the coolest glasses and the best connections and etc. But the real life, fine. However, he has not made an inner commitment sufficient enough to undertake the effort and struggle to truly find himself. Elamai, he wants to be known as Ayvad in the easiest way possible, with minimum to no effort. Therefore, he is constantly comparing himself to others and feels challenged when confronted with a person who has truly advanced himself. Look at these words. However, if a person does not actually want to achieve that inner level of piety, but rather they just want to be known as pious, I want the tag after my name, pious. Chosed, Yidishamayim, Malamdin, those Hanoivid, do you see the way he does? So therefore he's jealous of a friend. Why that person's in that level? Gosh, I should be that level. I'm the Ovid, man. Like, seriously. I want want the easy route. Who are you? Okay, so what am I going to discover? He's not such a neighbor. He's not really, he's not such a London. He's not such a this, such a that. I'll bash him, I'll knock him down, and I'm feeling great with myself. Therefore, this envy causes hatred. This envy and this hatred that comes out of the envy is davar kasha. It's a harsh, severe, v'galua, and difficult, but even more than that, it's like it's lowly, ma'od ma'od. The source is the person's yeshus, as we mentioned earlier. Therefore, this person hates Ovdei Hashem. Gosh, the Hashem is now going to say something. It's like, sometimes you just want to fool yourself. You ever have the thing, just loves me, let me fool myself. Rabbi Hashem's not going to let you do it. He says, what happens? You suddenly become best buddies with all the simpletons. Everyone that has an IQ of 100 and less, suddenly you're the best buddy. You show your friendship and kingship to the simple people. And you delude yourself, you trick yourself into thinking that your connection with them comes because you're really humble. No, you're not threatened by them. This little shmendrik's not a threat to you. The maskil, the Chevneman that's had atzlacha, no, so let me go to the guy that's a yutzlach and be his best buddy and convince myself I'm a very bottled person. I'm very humble. Absolutely. And that is why he motivates himself to lower himself, because I'm bottled. However, in truth, the real source is the yeshus. Because they pride themselves amongst the oivdim, those who serve God. So therefore, who does he hate? Anyone that's achieved a mila, anyone that's achieved any level or a madrega in their own avodah, that's the person that you're jealous of. Because that person's a threat to my yeshus. He's a nigga, blah, blah, blah. This other guy, not a threat, it's simple, easy going. He worships me, he thinks I'm the best thing since sliced bread. But simple people that are not, that he's not putting down simple people, but he's saying for you, you're convincing yourself that you're liking them for their simplicity. No, you're liking them because they're not a threat. And therefore you love them. Because one should love their fellow Jew. So you ask yourself, well, why does he love simple people if he's full of ego? And the answer is because you're supposed to love Am Yisrael. So it's intrinsic that we love. But I'm going to only choose to love the people that don't threaten me. But someone who's even more coarse and possesses more yeshus. He says, for the more edel person, he's friends with these guys because they're not a threat. And he really likes them. He says, sometimes, if you're more gedab, I'm more gedab, not you, I'm more gedab, then the love and the kiruv to them, the closeness to them, is because yeshus could expand. Right? They respect him. He's the he's the head speaker at every single event. He's the only guy that can read Aleph Beis. So Baruch Hashem. So I was trying to put this level on the first level. The Rebbe Hashem said, no, there's a guy that actually loves simple people, not because his ego gets built by them, but because he's not threatened by them. And he says, then there's a next level that not only are you not threatened by them, but they mamish boost you up. Ishkoyach, ishkoyach, ishkoyach. Kitzer, Milas Hakina de Kedusha. What's the summary? We spoke about the positive qualities of holiness. Yeshus Gedem Esina Levar Maila. Yeshus prompts one to hate somebody who has achieved a great level. And nevertheless, he could show love to simple people. Tamadavar, we spoke about the reasons, either because of the fundamental obligation of Avos Yisrael, or if the person is more yesh, because the simple people enable him to express the yeshus. And saying we should get the message loud and clear. Me, you too, l'chaim.